Hello Templars, welcome back to my office. And it's been quite an exciting week this week because I've just received a number of these. The latest book, Death Comes Hot, which came out last year, now in glorious paperback. It's always nice to receive new books in the post. It makes you realise that what you're doing isn't just sitting at home daydreaming and doing nothing else whatsoever. There is an end result, which is nice. Today, let's see, an update on what's been happening in the last month. It's been rather busy, especially since I wasn't expecting it, but I suddenly received the copy-edited version of Book 6 in the Blackjack series. It's one of the troubles with publishers is they always forget. They plan when they want to have a book in, so the author knows when he's got to submit a manuscript, but then they never tell the author when they're going to give back edited comments, when they're going to give back copy-edited comments, when they're going to expect proofs to be back or anything else. So all of a sudden you get a little note that says, oh yes, by the way, here's your latest copy edit. Can you please get it back to us within 2 weeks? And if you're, for example, out with a number of bookshops doing festivals or anything like that, you can't necessarily drop everything just because the publisher's asked you to. So quite regularly I've had to say to them, look, no, I can't. This time I actually did say it's liable to be a problem. They said, why? And I said, because my computer is crashing 6 times a day. They said, oh right, well you can't help that. No, I can't. And they tend to be very nice people, they're very understanding. But with the latest one, I tend to write with a specific time in mind. And what I do is I pick a day of the week and then the month of the year and so on. So I will write with specific dates in mind. Not all editors, copy editors and editorial assistants understand this. So, for example, this time I had the joy of, on the very first page, realising that they had changed the date of my book. I thought, what on earth are they doing that for? And the reason why they did it, I'm just checking because I've got it up here. And they put it down saying that my book dates were wrong. And so instead of having Tuesday the 28th of July, they put it back to Tuesday the 4th of August. And I contacted the editorial assistant and said, why? And she said, well, the copy editor has changed the dates so that they're accurate to the calendar. Is this okay? She said. And I said, no, because the copy editor is wrong. The correct date is the 28th. And she said, well, I'm sorry, but the copy editor checked it on the internet. And I said, checked it wrong. You can't trust things on the internet. And she said, well, how do you know that you're right? And I said, because my dates come from the Handbook of Dates, published by the Royal Historical Society, by Cambridge University. And this is the Bible for dates. And she said, oh. And she phoned me back a while later and apologised for it, but she said that the websites they'd checked with actually hadn't noted the changeover between the Julian and Gregorian calendars, which the Royal Historical Society Book of Dates does do. And so that's how they got it wrong. And I actually had a quick rant on Twitter the other day because people still keep thinking that anything that's published on the internet has to be accurate. No, it doesn't. If you get a book like this will have been checked by an author who is a prestigious chap. It will have been checked by fact checkers with the publisher, because Cambridge University Press a division of Cambridge University, treat things like dates seriously, it will have gone to an editor who will have checked things. It will have been copy edited. It will have gone back to the author to be checked. And then it will have been proof checked once or twice. So you can have a fair degree of confidence that whatever is in here, printed, is probably pretty accurate. And then, if you look at something like Wikipedia, I've got a good friend, Ian Mortimer, who used to tell me regularly, Wikipedia is safe, it's accurate enough because they have lots of people. He kept saying that until about 5 years ago, when he checked up some facts on Wikipedia and spotted his own name. So he went and had a look at it and found that there were various inaccuracies in there. So he corrected the things about him so that they were accurate. Next time he looked back, it had been changed back to the wrong information. So he corrected it again, and it was changed back again. And in the end, he contacted the administrators for Wikipedia and said, look, this information's wrong. And they said, I'm sorry, you can't change it. And he said, why is that? And they said, we rely on third-party information. We do not count on first-hand information. So the person about whom the article was written could not correct it to put it correct. And that's the trouble with Wikipedia and any other website. You and I have no way of telling how accurate they are. I have done research using the internet. I often will do so, and I do so quite regularly. But when I find the information on the internet, I do not consider that as reliable, and so I only go to those websites where they have references referring to books, and then I will check with those books and make sure that what was put on the internet was correct. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who put information up on the internet firmly believing what they're putting is correct, but they're wrong. There are a lot of people who are putting information up there because they want to have a laugh and a joke, so they put misleading information up intentionally. There's other people operating for the Russian government, Chinese government, the North Korean government, to name but three, who very happily put misinformation and disinformation on the internet. You cannot rely on things there. So I always get a book. I should just say, one of the main disasters in the last few weeks has been the failure of my computer. Let me just show you what my computer looks like. I go down. There you are. One lovely Apple iMac computer. And it is lovely. It's a glorious 27-inch machine. And I've been using it now for 9 years, I think. And it has been a superb workhorse. It has done everything I've wanted it to. It has been very, very efficient. It is no longer. As I mentioned earlier, it's now starting to crash up to 6 times a day. Oddly enough, I used it all day yesterday and it didn't crash at all. I hate intermittent faults. But I'm replacing it with a 24-inch machine. Now, when I bought this, prior to this, had a big size screen, another 27-inch. And because 9 years ago when I bought this I wasn't very well off, I thought, okay, I'm going to get the smaller one, the 21.5-inch screen. I brought it home, I put it on my desk, I set it up, and I looked at it and I realised I could not possibly use it because I'm used to a big screen. The nice thing now is that the new iMacs are a 24-inch screen, so it's only 3 inches less than this on the diagonal, and it's actually a wider screen format, so it's more like a modern film stroke TV type format, which is what this is too. But the smaller 21.5-inch screens are slightly squarer. So I'm hoping that the 24-inch will be adequate for my needs. I think it should be. It'll be a little bit lower than this, it'll be a little bit less wide, but because the screen goes out closer to the edges, there's a much smaller bezel, top and sides, I'm hoping it should work. And in any case, it's got the M1 chip, so it should be future-proofed for a bit. It should last me till I'm in my mid-70s, hopefully. I say hopefully. Will I still be writing in my 70s? I hope so. I really hope so. Writing is one of the only things that keeps me going. It's very odd. I keep speaking to people who are having to work from home and they're saying, oh, can't bear it. I never get away from work. I really long for going back to the office and seeing people and getting out of the house. So, I've been doing that for nearly 30 years now. One thing I would like to do is just get out and do some painting. I've got some friends who have bought an e-bike recently, each. And I was talking to them and said, how can you justify £2,500 for a push bike, even if it is electric? And then they let me ride it and I could see. And I thought that would be so nice to be able to hop on a bike and cycle somewhere away from the house and just sit and do some paintings. Take a couple of hours out, cycle somewhere for half an hour, do a painting for an hour, come back home. I thought, what an appealing idea. They were saying that they're actually looking on their push bikes as replacing a car. So they're feeling very virtuous that they're going to cycle 4 miles into Oakhampton to do their shopping and not actually use a car anymore. I thought that makes sense, actually. That's not a bad idea. So perhaps I need to save up for an e-bike. Very strange. Still, getting back to business, the copy edit is done. Oh, for those who are worried, the wrist is almost back to normal. It clicks every now and again, very surprisingly, which I'm not expecting, but I'm functioning again, which is nice. As soon as the weather's better, I'm going to be going back out into the garden and clearing up all the bits of wood from the hedge that we had chopped down around Easter time. Since then, because of this wrist and then because of the rain, I haven't been able to get into the field to clear it. So that's next on the cards. Hopefully you enjoyed the bloopers video that I put up. If you haven't seen that, I'll put a link at the bottom. But that was quite good fun to do. And the reason for it was that I was asked to audition for a new television programme. And the idea was that it would be a television programme about cold cases. Cold cases of all sorts. And they said, would I be interested in doing that? I said, yeah, give an audition for that. So I decided that the best place to do it, because they wanted to see people walking and talking. So I took my camera, this one, up onto Dartmoor and started recording a few words that I had. And the few words that I had just did not stick in my brain. I don't know what it is. Some people can learn some lines and speak them, and it's easy. Not for me. I've a few times acted in the local pace egging plays, which is just a traditional pre-medieval, probably, series of Christian plays that are acted out in towns and villages around the country. And I've done it a few times, and each time I've had to have all of my script in front of me, because every time I've forgotten all the words as soon as I stood up in front of an audience. Pathetic. Put me in front of an audience talking about my books, I can do that, that's not a problem at all. But give me a script and I really have a problem. So I went up on Dartmoor, I had this script. All I had to do was talk for 3 minutes, telling a story and giving a brief biography of myself. Well, the biography was no problem until I got about 2 sentences in, and all I was trying to do was talk about being an expert for the Smithsonian when we have these organised tours coming across to the UK, and I'm the resident expert that talks about crime writing, golden age of crime writing. So I talk about Agatha Christie, Dorothy L. Sayers, Sherlock Holmes, and all of the others from the golden age, but all the way through to the present day, because obviously I read a lot of crime books myself. And it's good because I can talk not only about those authors from the past and the present day authors, because I've met most of them. I can also talk about how authors write, how I write, how locations affect us, how characters grow on us. It's all good fun. But as soon as I stood up, I could not, every time I turned on the camera, walked in front of it, I forgot what the name of the blasted tour was. So I kept saying Smithsonian, and walking off again. It was pathetic, but it was quite a funny set of videos. Whether anything will come of that, I don't know. I did that audition about 3 weeks ago. Last week I had a follow-up message from the casting company saying, did I have any cases that already appealed to me. So I made a list of a few, and I was talking about Edward II. Did he really die in Berkeley Castle? Because no, he didn't. I put down a few other interesting cases, and the response came back that was very positive as a response anyway, put it like that. So possibly, you might find me on a TV near you. Scary thought. As to other TV and film projects, well, I've discovered that one of the reasons why one producer didn't progress things last year was his company went bust as soon as lockdown happened. So there have been glitches, but the trouble is I've got lots of friends who are crime writers, like Quentin Jardine, for example, who's a very good... he writes fairly hard-nosed crime books, rather like Ian Rankin's. He's another Scot who lives up not far from Ian Rankin, in fact. But he's been in negotiations with various television companies who keep saying that they really, really want to buy his books and put them onto TV. But that's been going on for 15 years now. I've got a friend who was paid originally under contract to help with the filming of his book, and he's paid a significant amount of money every year. I think it's 30,000, and he has been for over 15 years now. He actually makes more money out of the continual topping up of keeping the rights to that potential film. He earns more than that than he does from his own writing, which is rather sad, but a very nice position to be in, of course. But very often, as I understand it, TV and film companies will keep options going. They'll keep paying out every year for the options on a TV series or film, purely so that no other firm can get the rights. So what they tend to do is they will think, ooh, that's very good, but if Netflix gets that, they could do a really good job and probably better than we can, so we'll just keep the options going so Netflix can't buy them up. Where's the logic in that? Hey ho. So whether anything's going to happen with film and TV for now, just don't know. And that's about all that I've got noted down here. So what else is new? Well, as it stands right now, when the weather's good, I'm going to be out in the field, as I say, clearing up after the hedge cutting. But as soon as that's done, I'm in two minds. I'm either going to crack on with, what I'm going to do probably is crack on with the outline for a modern day police procedural. It's going to be based in Plymouth because that has so many aspects of policing that it just really appeals to me. And I think I might do it on a slightly bleaker, darker approach. I'm quite interested in the idea of having a story that's sort of based around some superstitions or magic. I think that could be quite appealing. Don't know if that's going to work yet, but that's what I'm intending to do. But that's just an outline. I'm going to do an outline. I'm going to see whether that appeals to my agent. And while she's considering that, I'm going to crack on with Blackjack 7. Because now the Blackjack 6 is out of the way. If I can crack on with number 7, get that out of the way before August, then I've got a lot of work around then, because Swanwick Writing, it's the summer writing school at Swanwick up in Derbyshire. I'm going to be giving 4 lectures up there this year, which is basically a course on how to write historical fiction. That's going to be fun. I've also got the Smithsonian in October, and because of last year being suddenly cancelled, it looks like there's 2 groups. So I've got from the 2nd of October and then from the 16th of October, both for a week, where I'll be going with people all the way from Torquay and Agatha Christie country up over Dartmoor, where I'll be talking about my books, on to Dick Francis country, Ellis Peters country, Bernard Knight country, all around. It's a fascinating, great fun set of tours, finishing up in London, where we go around the Temple and all around the historical areas that were known so well by P.D. James, Dorothy L. Sayers and all the others. That's good fun. But 2 of them means that the back end of the year is going to get fairly tied up. So I've got a lot of work to do to prepare for that and for Swanwick. And so I've got to get as much work out of the way as I possibly can, because the deadline for Blackjack 7 is the back end of the year, so I need to pull that forward and get that done. Finances are a bit strange right now too. The lockdown meant that we got supported quite well with the self-employed thing that the government issued. That was very nice, because I could demonstrate that last year our income was hit, so we got good funding from the government. This year, last month, we had notification that we could apply again, but actually my wife and I decided we couldn't claim, because I got a new contract with Seven House for Jack Blackjack's books. Beginning of this month we signed a contract and got the advance money, which is peanuts, but you know, for an author, peanuts is still quite a lot. And it did mean that we could not demonstrate that we were losing out financially. So we've turned down that money out of the goodness of our hearts, because other people are more deserving. And so now all I've got to do is sell some books urgently, really, which is the next thing to do. Right, I hope that was interesting. I've been whittering on for quite long enough now, and do please comment. Let me know if you've got any questions that you'd like me to answer, or any suggestions for future videos, and I'll be delighted to look at all of them. In the meantime, for those who are scavengers, next week I'm going to have an interesting piece, I hope, all about how to try to research books and get the information back in a hurry, because a number of guys have been asking about that. Hopefully I can help them, you never know. Thanks a lot for watching, and thanks very much for your patronage. I'm not going to drink this cup of tea now, because it's stone cold after chatting for 20 minutes. Thanks a lot, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.